The United States is switching to a shadow policy apparatus. Okay, a shadow policy apparatus. We're going to go through it because it's a mix of debt surveillance, migration control, and supply chain domination. And really understanding this will help you see kind of what's going on right here. So don't imagine ICE immigration enforcement. That's the wrong way to think about this. It is a soft domestic army, not just for immigration, but for control during social and economic unrest, functioning as a pretext for martial enforcement. Economic fear? No. Obedience tool. Obedience tool. Keep recession fears quiet while creating the conditions, right? And then high interest rates, strategic job insecurity, high cost of goods to slowly consolidate behavioral compliance. And then legal ambiguity, right? Because if citizens can be mistaken for the poor.
All praises and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham Ha-Rikakwadash. Double honors unto our apostle elders, which rule great millstone while, and which taught us the truth. And shalom to the hopeful elect of the nation of Israel. May you endure into the end. Shalom wa abba. So this young man, which is a Jake, all right, he is explaining that the world is moving towards a consolidated government of a new world order under the so-called white race, which I'm going to let this play in entire, and then I'm going to get the scripture showing you that we're at the same time as in history, they were together, all these nations, confederate, and they were trying to build a tower to reach heaven and to be like God. And that's what the Edomite, the so-called Caucasian, the wicked that rule the world today, and the other nations are trying to do. All right, so I'm going to back it up just a little bit because he says the word consolidate, which means as one.
Control during social and economic unrest, functioning as a pretext for martial enforcement. Economic fear? No. Obedience tool. Obedience tool. Keep recession fears quiet while creating the conditions, right? And then high interest rates, strategic job insecurity, high cost of goods to slowly consolidate behavioral compliance. And then
so that word consolidate, it says make something physically stronger or more solid, which they're fascists, all right, which goes back to Rome. It says combine a number of things into a single, more effective or coherent whole, which they're bringing forth this new world order. All right.
Behavioral compliance. And then legal ambiguity, right? Because if citizens can be mistaken for deportable, who really has status? This allows power to be weaponized through vagueness. Are you really safe? But then here's one of
and the reason they're using vagueness is really they can't do nothing against the Israelite. The Israelite, the power of life and death is in the tongue. So they give the opportunity to the Israelite to condemn themselves. And that's what the MOTB is. And they're going to influence you with deception. That's why there's going to be a shortage of power, a shortage of peace, a shortage of food, a shortage of water, and they're unleashing paid actors to cause violence, to be like sheepdog, to push you into the trap.
The things. A lot of people talking about a recession, of this, of that. It's a control lever. Recession is a control lever, not a crisis. It's the suppression of recession,
which is the brake system to the economy. When they raise inflation, all right, business owners can't get loans, so then people become unemployed because this is a debt-based system.
Lines, right, would mean that economic spiral is being curated rather than responded to. So the Fed and the elites need to slow down to cool wage growth.
And the reason why is so that they're trying to hide their ways, right? They're trying to backtrack so they could kind of cover up their tracks because, all right, they think no one sees them, but they're making moves against the Israelites, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, which have been scattered throughout the world in slavery.
to break labor momentum and to reestablish capital discipline. And the middle class collapse is being managed, not avoided. We're going to see like stealth liquidity extraction, right? Reverse QE, student loan repayments being reactivated, snap cuts, utility hikes, no cultural language around it, just quiet pressure. And then the trade war as spectacle. The real,
just as they did in Egypt, all right, Pharaoh, he added pressure to the Israelites when Moses and Aaron went before him and told him what Yahweh said. He said, let my people go. His people are the Israelites, and America has us enslaved today. This is why they're trying to do it secretly.
shift is tech sovereignty. The China headlines, right, don't really matter that much. It's a global decoupling campaign. The U.S. is trying to pull critical manufacturing and rare earth reliance away from China without public panic. That is the whole goal. Right? AI and microchip national.
And why? Because they're trying to regain power. All right? So rejoice, Edom. In your mind, you think you're going to get a new kingdom to rule using that implantable microchip, and these other nations confederate with you in a new world order, but it's going to backfire according to the prophecies, which this was already done in history, and it failed.
That's the whole goal. The United States consolidating control over chips and AI while quality offshoring inflation, right, and manufacturing externalities, right? China would be responding by building an alternative trade bloc, right? Think Belt and Road 2.0, but militarized. And then there's a return to national identity as economic strategy. If the deportation policies keep staying hidden how they...
So I'm going to get the scripture with Moab and Ammon, all right, being confederate against the Israelite. It's Numbers 23, all right, and the Chinese king wanted to go against the Israelites, all right. It says in... Here we go. Yep, right here. So the Moabite king asked the Edomite king's son to put a curse on the Israelites, like a witch, right? It says in Numbers 23 and 16, and Yahweh met Balaam the Edomite and put a word in his mouth and said, go again unto Balak, the Chinese king, which is the king of Moab, and say thus, which Moab, so it shows you here, I googled countries owns most of the U.S. bonds, and it says as of 2024, Japan, which is Ammon, and China, Moab, are the two largest foreign holders of U.S. debt. So they're funding our slavery using the so-called white man today, which this is what they did in the past. They were trying to fuck with us after we came out of Egypt. All right, because they figured the Egyptians had us enslaved, right? We're going to have them enslaved, which we went through many slaveries after Egypt. But what they don't realize is the Lord brought us into Egypt to destroy, all right, Egypt. That's what he did by bringing the Israelites out. He destroyed the king, Pharaoh, and his army. And that's what he's going to do to the Edomites' kingdom. He's going to destroy Pharaoh and their kingdom, and he's going to destroy their military in the valley of Jehoshaphat. It says in verse 17, it says, and when he came to him, behold, he stood by his burnt offering, and the princes of Moab, the Chinese, with him, and Balak, the king of the Chinese, said unto him, what hath Yahweh spoken? And he took up this parable and said, rise up, Balak, which is the Chinese, the king of the Chinese, and hear, hearken unto me, thou son of Zippor, which he was the king of a Chinese, he was the son of a Chinese king, Zippor. It says, and this word God, it's Al, so it's power. Allah. It says, God and it's because Esau's speaking, he can't really say Yahweh. It says, God is not a man that he should lie, which that's why there's no deceit in the mouth of the elect, all right? Because our power is not a lie, it's a truth. Esau was given the power to lie. The red devil, the so-called white man, all right, uses deception, and from birth he goeth astray and lies. Neither the Son of Man, right, that he should repent, right? So our supreme power, Yahweh, all right, and now his son Yahweh Shai, all right, are not of flesh as man, all right, but are as gods. So he don't need to repent. There's nothing a man could do to him. All right. It says, hath he said, and shall he not do it? We got history. The Lord's will is sure. We got a sure word of prophecy. Or hath he spoken, and shall he not make it good, which he has throughout history? Go back into the history, and then you'll know the mystery. Behold, I have received commandment to bless, which to bless means to bow. Really, they should be bowing before us, these heathen, and begging for mercy, which they're not going to receive no mercy because they showed no mercy. They were given the commandment to bless. So even, they do sacrifices today in 2025. They, do all this horrible shit and sacrificing humans and asking in the spiritual realm for power, right? That's why they do rites, right? Witchcraft, which they do rites. They ask for rites, all right? And they're getting the same message as he was getting back then. Behold, I have received commandment to bless. You should bow down. But see, just like Pharaoh, the Lord is hardening Esau's heart. All right, these elite, which they know they should bow down. They should hand everything over, including their life. Just like in that movie, in that book, the author is Machiavelli, and the documentation that he wrote was a collection of princes and, what it is that a prince does. And he says when you go before a prince, the only thing you could do is either offer a gift that he's pleased with you and accepts you, or you lay down your life. Because otherwise than that, what does he have need for you? See, and that's how it is with us, Yasharallah. See, our name is Yasharallah, he, Prince, power, which shows that it's not us saying that he, ourselves, are a prince of power. What it is you're going to see the power in us, and you're going to declare it, even if it's in English, right? God is with him. This is the hand of God. Do you understand? You're going to claim that the Israelites are the princes of power because Yahweh commandeth it. All right, like Esau. He's commanded to bless, but he won't bow, right? He won't submit. So the Lord's going to make us a battle axe, and we're gonna use force when it's allowed to us by our power, and we're going to enslave these heathen, and we're going to force them to serve us. All right, for 1,000 years, it's going to be a re-education camp for these heathen on how to worship us by our power, Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shai. All right, but the Edomites will never bless us. So literally, they'll even though they're going to do it, they're never going to want to do it. So they're going to be destroyed and made extinct. While the other nations, they're going to be pleased in serving us. They're going to bless us. All right, but Esau, he's always going to rebel, so he's always going to be destroyed. And he hath blessed, and I cannot receive it. So the Lord said the heathen are the Israelites, so he can't change that. They can't go back in time and alter the contract. They can't stop their forefather Esau from selling his birthright to Jacob. It was all ordained by Yahweh Ba'asham Yahweh Shai. So there's nothing they could do against the word, but only for the word. Right? They fulfill the scripture as the heathen, as the Edomite, as the wicked. Right? You could see it in the script, what they're doing. Did you read the script of the movie? Right? And when an actor is reading over a script, he don't just read his own part. He also has to understand the other actors' parts in the story, which the other nations, all right, they're nothing, all right? Their value is nothing. It says in verse 21, he hath not beheld iniquity in Jacob through Yahweh Shai, neither hath he seen perverseness in Israel through Yahweh Shai. It says the Lord, Yahweh, his power is with him. Yahweh, his power is with him. Yahweh, his power is with him. Yasharallah, he, Prince, power, the upright one. It says, and the shout of a king is among them, because we are princes, and princes give demands, commands. All right? And we're shouting out the words of the king, Yahweh, and his son, Yahweh Shai, the King of Kings, is coming to set things in order on earth. All right? It says, power brought them out of Egypt. Who? The Israelites. And what did he do to the Egyptians? He crushed them. He had, as it were, the strength of a unicorn, which we got the internet on lockdown. We put up so many videos that they can't even go against it. It's literally altering reality around them. All right? And we're coming out of this Egypt and Esau and Moab and Ammon and these other nations are confederate as one against us, the Israelites. Surely there is no enchantment against Jacob, neither is there any divination, which when you look it up in the NLT, it says magic, which they do black magic, they do witchcraft. It doesn't work against the elect, against Israel and them Israelites that are in the truth, right? But you have 144,000 elect men that shall not be deceived. According to this time, it shall be said of Jacob and of Israel, what hath power wrath? When you go into that word power, all right, let me show you. It says al, this power, right? Power, godlike, one mighty one, mighty men. So who is this power that he's speaking of? It's the elect in these last days, the mighty heroes, the 144,000, all right, that have strength and power. Emmanuel, God is with us. Our power is with us. See, do you understand? That's why we have the strength of a unicorn. We're on the internet teaching the truth, and the Lord's word does not go out void. So Esau and these other nations are scrambling because they're afraid to go into slavery because they have hell to pay. All right? And the Elohim, the ones that have power, all right, we're working it out. We're doing exactly as these scriptures say in this generation, because we came before Yahweh Shai's return, and Yahweh Shai fulfill it, and then just like in the beginning, everything starts over again. The end of Esau, the end of this age, is the beginning of the kingdom of heaven, the Israelites. All right? It says, behold, the people shall rise up as a great lion, the Israelites. We're going to rise up like a great lion and lift up himself as a young lion. He shall not lie down until he eat of the prey. We crush the enemy, which is the heathen, and we have them in slavery, and we crush them, and drink the blood of the slain, which it says we're going to wash our feet in the blood of the enemy, our adversaries, which means we're gonna brag. We're gonna tell people about how your destruction was. All right, just like Moses and the children of Israel sang songs about the destruction of Egypt, and they still remember it today. It says, and Balak, hey, even Esau remembers it. Remember, the small hats. They do a thing of a Passover, and that's remembering our time when we came out of Egypt. So even the heathen proclaim it today, but they say that they are the people of the mighty power, but they obviously are not. They have no salt. They have no light. They are darkness. It says he eat of the prey. We have the heathen in slavery, and drink the blood of the slain. We brag about destroying your destruction, because we're part of it. We're here flaming that fire, breathing this truth on you. And Yahweh Shai, pretty much we're preparing you, we're seasoning you so that the Lord could destroy you. It says, and Balak said unto Balaam, neither curse them at all, nor bless them at all. But Balaam answered and said unto Balak, told not I thee, saying, all that Yahweh speaketh, that I must do. Now let me go into the NLT. All right. It says, then Balak said to Balaam, fine, but if you won't curse them, at least don't bless them, don't serve them. But Balaam replied to Balak, didn't I tell you that I can do only what Yahweh tells me? And that's why we got the internet, and we're still able to put up videos. All right, is because Esau can't stop a motherfucking thing. He's controlled opposition. He's not in control. He's doing exactly what the Lord said he would do. And he can do no more, and he can do no less. So this is why we don't have to fear any of these heathen and their tactics. All right, it's all prophesied what would happen to us. And we're the ones declaring it. We're declaring the commands of Yahweh B'Shem Yahushai. Just like in the time of the Tower of Babel, Yahweh came down. In fact, let me grab that real quick. Now I'll let more of that brother speak, because he's speaking some truth of this world. Let me go to Genesis 11. I'm going to go back to the KJV. It says in verse 1, and the whole earth was of one language. Like right now, the whole earth could communicate with each other through the technology. And of one speech, which most people of the world speak English. And it came to pass as they journeyed from the east that they found a plain in the land of Shinar, and they dwelt there. And they said one to another, go to, let us make brick and burn them thoroughly. And they had brick for stone, and slime had they for mortar. And they said, go to, let us build us a city and a tower whose top may reach unto heaven. And that's what they're doing now. They're confederate, and they're putting all their resources together, and they're shooting missiles into the heavens, trying to go into the heavens, because they want to be like God. And let us make us a name, lest we be scattered abroad upon the face of the whole earth. Which this is what's going to happen when we get you in slavery. We're going to break you up, and you're going to be enslaved under the Israelites. It says, and Yahweh came down to see the city and the tower which the sons of men builded, which they're building a system now, the New World Order, which they're going to make it mandatory that you have an implantable microchip to be part of it. And Yahweh said, behold, the people is one. That's what they're declaring today. And they have all one language. Even the Pope that died, that false prophet, right? That anti-Mashiach, he declared that they should all come together and be as one. And this they begin to do. And now nothing will be restrained from them, because they're going to go against his elect with their technology, with their Tower of Babel, which they have imagined to do, which it's a vain imagination. Let us go down. Who's the us that is coming down? It's the elect. All right. It says, let us go down and therefore confound their language, which who was given the power of tongues? His anointed, his elect. We were those Alahayim in the beginning, and we're doing the same thing now. We're here before Yahushua returns and makes all things new and says it is good. We're prophesying it. Just like in the beginning, the Alahayim said, let there be light. And the light came forth by the strength of Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai. It says, verse 8, so Yahweh scattered them abroad from thence upon the face of all the earth, and they left off to build the city. Therefore is the name of it called Babel, because Yahweh did there confound the language which they were speaking Hebrew, and now I speak English today, which is a broken form of Hebrew. It says, of all the earth, and from thence did Yahweh scatter them abroad upon the face of all the earth, which you have all the different nations speaking different languages, broken forms of Hebrew. All right, now this verse, I'm going to cross-reference it. All right, and it says, let us go down. All right, and I'm going to go to Genesis 1, verse 26. It says, God said, let us make man in our image after our likeness, and let them have dominion, which means give them, heavenly knowledge over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over the cattle, and over all the earth, and over every creeping thing that creepeth upon the earth. Now that name there, God, all right, it says right here, it's Alahayim, the hopeful elect. We have that knowledge, that secret knowledge, that power. That's why we are Yasharallah. He prints power, which we are the upright ones. All right? And as it says, it was the Alahayim that came down and confounded the language, which caused these other nations to speak different languages. So we were the ones that gave knowledge to man. Also, we were the ones that confounded them. We confused them. All right. And this is why Esau uses the 2/3 to hold the world in darkness. And you got the elect, which are pushing light. We're showing our light on the unicorn, the internet, and the world hate us because they love darkness. Now, going back to that brother's video where he's breaking down the economics of this place and the falling of this place.
Policies keep staying hidden how they are, right? Here's what's going on really deeply. Here's what's going on, because it's actually a quiet cultural reconciliation. It's a narrative pivot to nativism, right? And economic fear becomes a cultural fear about others taking jobs or corrupting systems. The citizens versus non-citizens is blurred on purpose, creating a 2-tier system of rights. So the missing headline that you don't see is that strategic collapse has begun, because there's a missing headline in the news right now, which is why we don't cover the news a lot on this page, because the news is not telling you the story. And I don't know how to say it. I almost should go at them. That's how they're not doing it, because it smells a lot like the careful collapse of old post-World War II. That's what it looks like, right? What we're not being told is that we're being withdrawn from globalism, but
which is Ecclesiastes, the thing that has been, it shall be. 1:8. All things are full of labor, man cannot utter it. The eye is not satisfied with seeing, nor the ear filled with hearing. The thing that hath been, it is that which shall be, and that which is done is that which shall be done. And there is no new thing under the sun. Is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new? It says, it hath been already of old time, which was before us. Because this is a reincarnation of Rome. Rome fell. This reincarnation of Rome, all right, America with the European Union, this beast system that rules the world, all right, and weakens the nations, all right, it's going to fall. It's going to collapse. It's already happening, all right, because they're going against the Elohim, the elect of the nation of Israel. It says, is there anything whereof it may be said, see, this is new? It has been already of old time, which was before us. There is no remembrance of former things. Only the elect remember. All right. The Illuminati, this is why they called themselves the Illuminati, because they knew of the past and they were able to control, so-called control in the lame's eyes, the public, the peasants' eyes, the future, because they already knew how things were going to play out according to the prophecies. That's why they enslaved the Israelites and no other nation like they did us. Neither shall there be any remembrance of things that are to come with those that shall come after, which is the rest of these people. They don't remember. All right. That's why we didn't remember we were Israelites. But what did it say? That we were going to come into remembrance, which this man says this. This is why I say he's a fellow brother, a spirit that knows Yahweh and Yahweh Shai, right? And he's here to give you warning, because he tells you there's only pretty much to remember yourself. Now, he's only concentrated on the so-called Negroes, which that's what's one of the false doctrines that's going around, that the Lord is only dealing with so-called black men, which there's no such thing as a black man. But the Lord is dealing with all the 12 tribes, but with an elect group of men out of those tribes. It says that is they which, Romans 9 verse 26, and it shall come to pass, so this is a prophecy manifesting in our time, to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, by the heathen, because they want us to sin, there shall they be called the sons of the living power, Yasharallah, he Prince Power, because they're going to come up against us and they're going to see the mighty hand of Yahweh working in this earth to protect us and go against them. All right? Just like the things they're building, the robots that they're producing to come up against his elect men, all right, and try to destroy us, it's going to destroy them. It says the weapon that they build, it shall be falling upon their own head, just like Haman when he built the gallows. All right, any enemy, we still exist today. The Israelites are still here living, right? You poison our food, you poison our water, you're poisoning our air, all right? And we're still here. You can't come against us. You know what I'm saying? It says in verse 26, and it shall come to pass that in the place where it was said unto them, ye are not my people, there shall they be called the sons of the living power. Let's see that in the NLT. And then at the place where they were told, you are not my people, there they will be called sons of the living power, because you're going to see us. The power is manifesting in us right now. It says in Revelation 11, verse 3. And I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days clothed in sackcloth, which we're doing. They can't stop these videos going up. Now, they might be able to just knock a couple down, but the angels heard the commands of Yahweh Ba'asham, Yahweh Shai, come out the mouth of his prophets. So it's already, it says his word does not return void like a bounced check. All right, all these scripts are good. It says, and I will give power unto my 2 witnesses, Judah and Israel, and they shall prophesy 1,260 days clothed in sackcloth. These are the 2 olive trees which you had prophets like Moses and Aaron since the beginning. All right. And now it started with Abba and King Masha and other holy Israelite men. But through these generations, we now have an awakening of the Israelites. And that's why the devil, the so-called white man, and these other nations are coming down with great wrath, because they're trying to keep power. They're trying to hold power. All right. It says, these are the 2 olive trees and the 2 candlesticks, which we got the light, standing before the power of the earth. And that power is what? So the Father, which he's the supreme power, Hamashiach Yahushai, the Messiah, and then the Holy Spirit, all right, which is his counsels, interest, things due to him, like the Israelites. But now he has to destroy 2/3 for the lack of knowledge. So he's going to destroy this devil, the so-called white man, for what he's done against the elect. See? So the devil's going to try to destroy us to try to change things, but it's only going to bring his condemnation sooner. That's why the Lord says he's going to shorten the day for the elect's sake. If not, no flesh would be saved, because this devil is like a madman, sparing none. It says, and if any man will hurt them, fire proceedeth out of their mouth, and devoureth their enemies. And if any man will hurt them, he in this manner be killed, which they're going to be destroyed by fire. That's the judgment Yahushua comes with. All right, but we're actually going to have actual power to breathe out fire. All right, but we're actually breathing out curses right now. We're saying before it happens, what's going to happen. And then when these things happen, it fulfills the words that we prophesied, which are Yahweh's. And it's all being done by Yahweh, B'Shem, Yahushua, B'Shem, HaRakakodash. It's a gift to be part of this. All right?
But not as an act of fear, but as a way to remold. Domestic enforcement rises while external entanglements shift toward economic cold wars instead of military ones. The systems aren't failing. They're being repurposed for a leaner, more controlled state model. So what we're actually headed toward is friction.
So what's going to happen is war, which he's going to say friction, but it's war. All right? War in the streets of America, war in the world, World War III, and war in the heavens between Yahushua and his angels, the host, Yahweh's host, and the devil, the so-called white man, and his angels, the military.
Freedom versus algorithm, governance by platforms, social services, identity verification, even voting becomes tied to digital platforms managed by corporate governance sponsorships, and score-based citizenship. Not unlike China's social credit, but subtler. Access to housing, healthcare, and loans could depend on compliance metrics like attendance, payment behavior, speech records, even who you associate with online.
Because they're trying to heal Babylon and wash their hands of the blood of the Israelites and put it on AI. They're going to try to set up the slavery system on AI to try to shift the blame to AI. Just like Adam shifted the blame to Eve. And we're really trying to say it was your fault to the Lord, because this is the woman you gave me. And that's what they're going to do. They're going to try to shift it over to the technology so they could blame the technology. This is the technology you blessed me with. See, but they can't change nothing. All right, it's already set.
And facial recognition, right? Cross-border biometric networks. Under the banner, right, of immigration control and national security, this will entrench surveillance capitalism as policy enforcement. And we'll get border militarism as domestic doctrine. ICE will evolve into a national enforcement arm. That's what I'm trying to get y'all to understand.
Right, because they're going to come in as a flood, right? They're going to come in as a flood. What is that one? Raise the standard. Isaiah 59. It says, I'm going to start at 18 so we get context. It says, according to their deeds, accordingly he will repay fury to his adversaries, recompense to his enemies. He's going to pay them back for what they did to his elect. To the islands he will repay recompense. It says, so shall they fear the name of Yahweh, which we glorify Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai. From the west, what is in the west? The Americas. And his glory from the rising of the sun, China and Japan, Moab and Ammon. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, which they're going to come down with that sword to try to slaughter us, the Spirit of Yahweh shall lift up a standard against him. So there's programming that's in place for when a certain movement is done, another code steps in and produces a reality. All right, because this is just like a computer programming that's happening, and it's ran off the word of Yahweh. So when they come in against us, we have the word to say, no, this ain't the way it's supposed to be. We have the prophecies. The Lord's going to play it out how he plays it out. And some brothers, they're going to try to kill him, but they won't be able to, because it's already prophesied what will play out in each brother's life, in each human being's life, let alone, just the elect of Israel, which the Lord only loves Israel and salvation is only for the Israelite. But the Lord is in control of all the nations. All right. It says, and the Redeemer shall come to Zion, the elect of Israel, and unto them that hear this word and that turn from transgression in Jacob, saith Yahweh. As for me, this is my covenant with them, saith Yahweh, my spirit that is upon thee, and my words which I have put in thy mouth, which alter this reality, shall not depart out of thy mouth, nor out of the mouth of thy seed, nor out of the mouth of thy seed, saith Yahweh, from henceforth and forever, because he's going to give us the kingdom. Jeremiah 30:7. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, which this young Jake is going to, show that it's after Jake. That's who they're going after, the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native American Indians, the Israelites. All right? But he shall be saved out of it. That's the prophecy. That his body, Yahweh shall be in our head, all right? And Yahweh, our crown of glory, he, because we are his kingdom. So his diadem is on our mind. That's why that we have that tawa, exemption from judgment. There is no condemnation to them that are in Yahweh Shai. And what it is we're as Yahweh Shai, because we were chosen, but we are being moved by the Holy Spirit to be as Yahweh Shai. We're in sinful flesh, condemning sin in a sinful world ran by the wicked. For it shall come to pass in that day, saith Yahweh of hosts, that I will break his yoke from off thy neck, will be able to breathe the slavery wouldn't be so severe like you see today, and will burst thy bonds, which will grow in knowledge, and strangers shall no more serve themselves of him, which that's why they're panicking. All right. It says, but they shall serve Yahweh their power and David their king, which we have Yahweh Bahasham Yahushai. Yahweh is the supreme being. Yahushai is the king of kings, and he's coming to set up King David. All right. Their king, which is the king of Israel, whom I will raise up unto them. Therefore, fear thou not, O my servant Jacob, saith Yahweh, neither be dismayed, O Israel. For lo, I will save thee from afar, which he's coming from heaven, and thy seed from the land of their captivity, which were in America and scattered throughout the world. And Jacob shall return, first by recognizing who we are. We are the Hebrew Israelites. Our name is Yasharallah in the Hebrew, and it's a declaration of our power being with us, which your mouth is going to confess. There's a day, just like in ancient Egypt, all right, the Egyptians seen the power that was with us, starting with Moses and Aaron, and they said, this is the mighty hand of Yahweh. So it is Exodus 8, verse 19, NIV version. The magicians said to Pharaoh, this is the finger of God. But Pharaoh's heart was hard, and he would not listen, just as Yahweh has said, as it was prophesied. All right? So there's going to come a day where these witches of Babylon declare that this is the hand of God, which is what? With his elect. Which, let me get that in Exodus 7, verse 1. And Yahweh said unto Moses, which was one of the elect, see, I have made thee a god to Pharaoh, and Aaron thy brother shall be thy prophet, which they came already again and prophesied against Babylon, Abba Bivens and King Mashah. You see? So it starts with these two witnesses, but then it branches out into a greater tree, Yahushai being the vine, Yahweh being the husbandman. And Yahweh said unto Moses, see, I have made thee a god to Pharaoh, and Aaron thy brother shall be thy prophet. So pretty much Yasharallah, he prints power. This is going to be said about the elect because they're going to witness the power within us. All right? It's not going to be on the outside, really. It's going to be on the inside. All right? The conversion that takes place and alters a man from living for himself and his own lusts to living according to instruction given from our King, right? Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahushai, to our Messiah, which he is the Word, all right? And by him are we saved. That's the prophecy, all right? I'm almost done with this video. Let me get this, see if we can finish this.
National enforcement arm, that's what I'm trying to get y'all to understand. Far beyond immigration, right? They will act extrajudicially, right? Performing detainments, removals during civil unrest, economic protests, or in emergency zones. The border will move inward, affecting citizens who appear deportable, meaning racial profiling will become infrastructural, right? This republic. You'll get the court.
And what they're going to do is they're going to chew their way in, all right? They're going to use their military to oppress the Israelites, all right? And they're going to chew through that fat, them 2/3, and eventually they're going to touch the elect. And once they do that, the few that are sacrificed, Yahushua is coming back with them to gather his elect, to save his elect. and it's the destruction of Edom's kingdom, all right, and his military.
Upper class Americans, right, with full access to mobility, healthcare, education, and legal immunity. Tier 2 working class citizens monitor and manage through benefit conditionality, job programs, debt forgiveness, and access tied to obedience. And then the non-citizens, refugees, and shadow citizens, those lost in data errors, legal traps, debt collapse, used for labor.
Which they don't want everybody. There's going to be a lot of people that die. All right, they're going to cause a great tribulation by making the implantable microchip mandatory for buying and selling.
Fear the narrative. And then the false faith economy will bloom, right? A fusion of patriotism and financial compliance. You prove your loyalty by not voting. That's what it's going to.
They're going to give you the implantable microchip. All right?
Come down to by spending, subscribing, uploading, and believing in the narrative. Religious nationalism is going to rise. Church-state fusion via family values rhetoric, but deployed to justify surveillance and anti-immigrant actions. Crypto and digital dollars may be offered as freedom, but they really just going to create a programmable money trap. We're going to see narrative warfare. Narrative warfare is domestic policy. The press doesn't just shut down.
We're in a spiritual war. All right? So that's why the Lord said, put on the whole armor. All right? Eat this whole roll with understanding. It's Ephesians 6 and 10. It says, finally, my brethren, be strong in the Lord. Know what you're involved in. Read these scriptures. Understand them. And in the power of his might, what he's done for the hopeful elect, for the Elohim. Put on the whole armor of power, that ye may be able to stand against the wiles of the devil. So put on, therefore, as the elect, and be upright. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Because we're in a war, and we're being pretty much drowned in shit so that we could rise above it, as in that movie Bliss, it was said there. Wherefore, take unto you the whole armor of Yahweh, Bahasham Yahushai, which is with his elect. But it says that ye may be able to withstand in the evil day, having done all to stand, right? You begin to be washed in the word, and we're standing in our faith, doing this work. Stand therefore, be in these camps, doing this work. All right. The truth is with great millstone, starting with the head apostles. All right. That rule great millstone, wow, and which taught us the truth. It says, stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth. Examine yourself. Don't worry about another man in this race. All right. Every man has to work out his own faith in fear and trembling. Now, you got to be charitable to the brothers. All right. But you also got to watch out, because this is like a game of survivor. There's deceivers. All right. So you got to work on your own faith. All right. And know what you're involved in, and know that you're doing the most you can do for the Lord's will to be done. All right. And the Lord is going to, move the elect to do what they do. All right. But we have to prophesy it and speak of these things. All right. It says, because you got to remember, not all Israel is of Israel. So not every Israelite that is saying Yahweh Hashem Yahushai is going to be saved. You got to remember Matthew 7, verse 21. There's Israelites that say, didn't I prophesy in thy name? Didn't I do all these things in your name? All right. But they're workers of iniquity, because they're pretty much only hungry for what they could get for themselves out of this truth. We're a flock. All right. And we're connected through the truth. We're a body. Yahushua is our head, our shepherd. And angels protect us like guard dogs. All right. Sheepdogs. It says, Stand therefore, having your loins girt about with truth. Be a man and examine yourself. And having on the breastplate of righteousness, understanding the truth, that we're saved through Yahushua, all right, which he fulfilled the commandments, but we're to remember the commandments. That's why Malachi 4, it says, remember the law of Moses given to the Israelites on the Mount Horeb, all right, because Yahushua is coming for the sinner, not the whole, not the righteous, but the sinner, the one that reads the laws, remembers them, and realizes that we are sinners and we need to be saved. Those are the ones he's looking for. All right? You can't just forget the laws, ignore the laws, and just say, oh, I'm saved by grace. Grace is instruction. All right? Unto salvation. It says, and your feet should, with the preparation, right here, this is an instruction. Your feet should, with preparation, meaning your whole purpose, if you're an elect, is to go to do this work. You're going to work so you could do this work. You're eating a sandwich or whatever you eat, to do this work. It says, the preparation of the gospel of peace. Now let's see the translation comparison. It says, for shoes, put on the peace that comes from the good news, the preaching of Yahushua's return, the gospel, so that you will be fully prepared. That's the armor. All right? It says, above all, taking the shield of faith, wherewith ye shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. Because we're saved through Yahushua. Believe in Yahushua. He said, if you don't believe in me for the word's sake, believe in the actions. All right? But you're going to see the power of Yahweh in the name of Yahushua being exercised on earth in this generation amongst the elect. Shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked. And that's why the women are going to cleave to us, because we have power. And take the helmet of salvation, protect what you have, hold on fast to what you have, and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of Yahweh. All right, hold fast to that understanding that you have. Meditate on this word day and night, searching. All right, for he is a rewarder of them that diligently search him. Search for him. All right. It says, praying always with all prayer and supplication in the Spirit, watching thereunto with all perseverance, to stay faithful to Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai, and return to your rightful lot as a male or a female in this truth, and supplication for all saints, the sanctified Israelites, and for me, that utterance may be given unto me. And that word is put in our mouth from Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushai with the gift of faith, that I may open my mouth boldly, persuaded in your salvation, to make known the mystery of the gospel, the elect, for which I am an ambassador in bonds, that therein I may speak boldly as I ought to speak, because we're in the authority of Yahushai. We were sent from Yahweh in the name of Yahushai, and we have a testimony, which is the spirit of prophecy, and we speak of Yahushai. And these are the signs of Yahushai coming back.
Policy. The press doesn't just shut down, it's gamified. Journalists will be forced into attention economies where dissent can't survive unless viral, meaning that only spectacle reaches the people, which is why I felt the need to make this post anyway. Education becomes story warfare, right? History rewritten, dissenters reframed as unstable, patriarchy, myth-making, right? All of that gets tied to economic loyalty.
So that goes back to Isaiah 14. Why are these things happening? It says in Isaiah 14:1, for Yahweh will have mercy on Jacob. So the truth is with Jacob, and will yet choose Israel. The Israelites have the truth. The news don't have the truth. They're a medium of darkness. And will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land, which those are counterfeits over there. But these things are the signs of us going back. And the strangers shall be joined with them, the Israelites that are in appearance other than a so-called Negro, Latino, or Native American Indian. All right, but there it says, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob. So they're Israelite in the spirit, but their flesh may look like a heathen. It says, but they're Israelites by their father's lineage. And the people shall take them and bring them there. It says, bring them to their place, which we're going to take these heathen, starting with their elite that survived the judgment by going into these bunkers all over the world. All right. It says, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of Yahweh for servants and handmaids. And that's why they're going to fight like hell, but ain't nothing going to change. They're just going to fulfill prophecy. And they shall take them captives whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. And this is what's coming. And it's already happening. And it shall come to pass in the day that Yahweh shall give thee rest from thy sorrow and from thy fear and from the hard bondage from Egypt, the spirit of Egypt that's in America, wherein thou was made to serve, that thou shalt take up this proverb against the king of Babylon and say, how hath the oppressor ceased, the golden city ceased? They're trying to change things, alter the judgments, right? Interfere with the prophecies. It says, Yahweh have broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers. See? So the Lord's going to give it to us. He's going to take it from them and give it to us. And that's why Yahweh Shai is coming back.
Loyalty. We are seeing the birth of a simulated republic. That is what we're seeing the birth of. Still looks.
And remember, he's going to try to put technology in between him and that judgment. He's going to try to say, it was the technology you gave me to the Lord, just like Adam said, it was the woman that you gave me. See, but it's not going to work. That's why we're here. We're witnessing it. All right. We're seeing the involvement and we're reporting it. That this devil, the so-called white man, is in control of these things.
Like democracy, still has elections, still waves the flag. Underneath, the law is selectively enforced. Citizenship is conditional. Dissent is pathologized, and loyalty is economized. The state doesn't declare itself. It forms through layer entropy, passive collapse, phrased as progress. But stay focused, stay focused. Black people, right? We're spiritually stressed right now, and this is deep,
and the reason why they're spiritually stressed is because they don't know the whole truth. That's why he called himself a black person, and he's trying to talk to black people. All right, the only spiritual people that the Lord's dealing with are the Israelites. All right, 2/3 are going to perish for the lack of knowledge, and 1/3 is going to be saved.
It's something we need to take advantage of, right? We deal with chronic spiritual,
and that's in America. All right, 2/3 are going to perish because they didn't believe. 1/3 is going to be saved because they believed.
Exhaustion, cultural hyperproduction, masking hollowing, and language is mined, not lived from us. So vibe, lit, trauma, healing, grind become templates, not truths. Black culture is used to metabolize national contradictions. Joy masking decay, rage is entertainment, pain is market. We're not allowed to heal because our suffering is profitable. But here's what white people are in the middle of.
But see, remember what I just read. The Lord told that Edomite to tell that Moabite, there is no curse against the Israelite, no magic that shall work against us. So really, these 2/3 reprobates are willingly cursing themselves, condemning themselves because they don't love the Lord or his counsel. All right, they love the darkness of this world.
Narrative confusion, I feel erased, where's my pride? Right? Increasing reliance on conspiracy, QAnon replacement theory, emotional breakdown, outsourced to politics, outrage cycles are greater than the will to integrate, and faith.
See, the land of confusion is going to be broken down. It says the Lucifer shall fall like lightning. Yahushua prophesied that one.
Systems fail to metabolize grief, and they get replaced with performance, prosperity gospel, nationalism. Here's the thing what we headed up to. We are headed toward a literal disaster with them.
Right. Nuclear destruction. They're going to bring out the implantable microchip and go against his elect. And he's going to come down. And when he comes down to save his elect, the judgment is going to be played out, which we declared through the word of Yahweh.
We are going to see involuntary confrontations with climate, economics, and identity dislocation hit white people. Misuse of AI to simulate healing. Therapy talk, mindfulness capitalism, spiritual grift. That's all what's coming up. Black culture is expected to carry the moral censor while being further denied rest. We only got two options. Reckoning, right? Or repression.
And that's true. You either repent and return and remember you're an Israelite and be preserved from these plagues that are coming upon the earth, or you're going to be reoppressed worse than you ever seen in history. It's going to be a time like no other. This so-called white man, the red devil, is a weapon of mass destruction. And he has produced inventions of these things. They got these robots all the way up into that nuclear destruction. Even the implantable microchip. Watch those movies. They're going to torment them that have that chip implanted. Because when you commit sin against the Lord willingly, in idolatry and fornication, the devil, the so-called white man, he could freely do as he pleased with you. That's Jeremiah 50:5. These other nations are confederate with them. But when we stand up on our feet, declaring the truth, and in an upright lifestyle, the Lord hears us and he moves in our favor, starting with the elect. And that's why Esau's panicking, and this place is going to shit because it's Mayday, 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 right? Mayday, Mayday. It's the 5th. All right, they're going down, man. And they know it. They're drowning in debt. They're drowning in fulfilling these prophecies. All right, and they're doing everything they can to try to alter it, but they can't. They can't stop it. Every day we wake up, we're closer. The sun and the moon are signs of the Lord still in power. All right, it is as it was declared in the beginning from the elect, which we spoke the word of Yahweh, and our head is Yahushua.
That's what we're headed for everybody. But we're going to stay focused. This is what we need to do. Okay, we're going to go into what black people need to do to respond to this, because I wanted to paint the picture of what's actually going on, because the news articles won't cover it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they won't cover it. And
saying he don't know. He don't know everything. You know, he perhaps was created just to do this video. All right, just for this purpose, this man could have been created. All right, so he only knows so much. All right, but it's for the elect to, you know, when we get lemons, make lemonade.
And it's happening live. So, you know, this is just a good speed up for anybody who doesn't get the state of the situation.
Which, once again, all right, the economic downfall of this place is going to go into a war in the streets of America, war in the world, war in heaven, which Yahushua is coming back to save his elect after the great tribulation, which is going to be caused by them making that implantable microchip mandatory for buying and selling. And once he saves his elect out of the world, it's going to be a merciless thing that he does to America. He's going to show great fury upon this place. He's going to, as it says, he's going to put fury on his adversaries through fire. All praises and glory to Yahweh Bahasham, Yahushai Bahasham Ha Rakakodash. Double honors to our apostle elders, which rule great millstone wall. Shalom wa abababo.